Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to another predictions and preview episode of the podcast. It's Good Friday, some decisive games, some make or break games, if I don't say so myself, in Sky Bet League One. I cannot wait to get into it. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you excited? Are you nervous? How are you feeling ahead of this weekend with your team? What are your predictions for your teams as well? And obviously, you give your predictions for all the fixtures if you'd like to. I want to hear from you specifically with your club. How are you feeling ahead of this very, very big weekend of football? Some teams only got 5, some even 4 games remaining until the season comes to an end. It really is the business end now. I've been saying it for about 10 weeks, it feels like, but we really are coming into the decisive make or break moment of this campaign. Subscribe if you haven't already and leave a like as well. We're on now the road to 1.15 thousand subscribers. We're growing quicker than I ever thought we would, so thank you so much. I love every single one of you. Be part of the journey. Hit that big red button and the notification bell as well. That way you'll be notified every time I go live or the recorded episode just like this one. Right, let's not mess about. Let's get straight into it. We've got a full schedule. Like I said, we've got Good Friday and the Saturday after it as well. We've got a lot of games, a full schedule of League One action. Let's get straight into it. So we're going to start off with, Sunderland versus Shrewsbury. A big start, an early start. But like I said, we've got a lot of big games today. I'll run for a few. We've got MK Dons, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham Ipswich, Doncaster Bolton, Portsmouth Lincoln, Wycombe Plymouth, Sunderland Shrewsbury, Oxford Fleetwood, and much more. But we've got the teams there still fighting for a lot in the league. Some fighting for a finish in the top 6, some fighting for a title, some trying to stay in the league. But we're going to start off with Sunderland against Shrewsbury because let's have a look at the league table first and foremost. Sunderland, for some reason, the glitch is still there. It says Wycombe are in a playoff place. 7th is not a playoff place. I'm not sure why it keeps saying that. Sunderland are 6th and they're in the last possible playoff place in Sky Bet League One. 6th in the league on a really quite good run. In the last 5 games, but I mean we can only look at those last 5 games in the block. We'll have a little look at the wider span in just a minute. But you can see that in those last 5 games, 4 wins out of the last 5. Of course, a very disappointing result for Oxford United, but a brilliant result for Sunderland against Oxford last Saturday. Such an important win for them. We talk about a crunch match heading into this playoff race. I mean, that was certainly one of them. I mean, I know I did my match reaction on it. A lot of people, little bit, was I overreacting? Was I being quite friendly to Oxford, quite friendly to Sunderland? I mean, everyone's going to have their own opinions on it. I still sort of do feel the same. That was such a decisive game, such an important 3 points, even though I saw a lot of Sunderland fans saying they didn't play their best, and I 100% agree. I don't think it was the best performance between two sides we've seen this season. I don't think Sunderland was certainly at their best. I can tell you for a fact, Oxford weren't at their best either. I think both sets of fans have seen much better performances from their team, but at this point in the season, it's all about the results, it's all about the points, and I was reiterating that throughout. Performances is okay for the performance is fine up until, I'd say, even after Christmas. But when you start getting into this point in the season, it's just about points. And although the performance was fairly good for Oxford, we didn't get it in the back of the net. We didn't shoot often, and we didn't get any points in the game. And for Sunderland, they got the opposite. You know, Sunderland got the 3 points, such a significant 3 points. They're 6th in the league, and they're sitting in a really good position. And also got a game in hand on Wycombe and Oxford, the two teams also fighting for the places, and they're, of course, outside of the top 6, 7th and 8th. As for Shrewsbury, the last 2 games haven't been brilliant, but before that, a really quite good run, a shock result, you could say, against Rotherham, winning that at Rotherham 3-0. It was a brilliant result for Shrewsbury. I think what we've seen from Shrewsbury in recent weeks is exactly what the sort of side Shrewsbury can be. Across the season, they haven't really been outstanding. You look at where they are, 16th in the league, but I think we've also shown the quality within that squad. We'll have a look at the betting odds in just a second, but looking at the run a little bit further than that, you know, a 1-0 win for Shrewsbury against Lincoln, that 3-0 win over Rotherham, a smashing 5-0 win over Morecambe. You know, and even before that, a draw to Rotherham 0-0. Shrewsbury against Cambridge 0-0 as well. They did lose to Oxford, and in the last result they drew to Ipswich. Which isn't a bad result at all, you could say, to be honest. But a loss to MK Dons, which isn't too embarrassing at all with the way that MK Dons are playing. Like I said, as for Sunderland, although we can only see 5 games, their run has gone longer than that. A 3-0 win over Sunderland, 3-0 win over Wigan. Sunderland, a brilliant result there as well. Draw with Burton 1-1, and sort of then that was sort of the end of their dodgy spell and into the new spell, which has seen them really climb their way back into the playoff places. In terms of the betting odds and what the bookies think of this game, Sunderland have got 58% chance of winning, but this team actually wins 60% of games. As for Shrewsbury, that's 4-1, which is 20%. They actually win 20%. So Sunderland are the favourite, 73 to 104 to 1, 58% to 20%. It does see Sunderland favourites, and you can see why. The form that they're on. You know, like I said, Shrewsbury aren't a bad side at all, but you can can see the form that Sunderland are on, the home advantage being very, very key this season. With obviously fans back into stadiums, and the hunt that Sunderland find themselves on, the real desire to finish in the top six come the end of the season. We've seen a recent form show that sort of rhythm momentum that they can get hold of. They're going to want to continue that. Of course they are. I think Sunderland will win this game, and if I'm going to predict the game, which I will be for every single one of these, I'm going to go with Sunderland winning 2-0. I think Sunderland have got what it takes, not because, like I said, Shrewsbury aren't a good side at all. They really, really are. I think they've shown in recent weeks the quality that they really do have. But I think Sunderland, they've got a real ambition. They've got their real. Then they've got their eyes set on exactly what they want to achieve, and that's going to be so important as we do hit this such significant part of the season. A recent result against Oxford would be a huge confidence boost, although it wasn't an amazing performance by any stretch. Such an important win. I think that confidence is going to sort of fire them onwards until the end of the season. I think Sunderland are going to win this one. I'm going to go with Sunderland 2, Shrewsbury Town 0. Right, then let's go to the next set of games. Let's go to Fleetwood against Oxford United. I normally try and leave Oxford United's games until a little bit later on, but we're going to go straight into it because I think I want to sort of get a few things off my chest ahead of this game, talking about Oxford United, because I sort of had that time to digest from the Sunderland defeat on Saturday, and then of course on Friday we're back playing football again against Fleetwood. No real time to rest on your laurels at all. But let's talk about Oxford United, sort of in a brief way, but also try and get my key points across. The recent form hasn't been good enough, and that's ultimately why we see ourselves outside the playoffs, 8th in the league, and out of the 4 teams are fighting with Sheffield Wednesday, Sunderland, Wycombe, and then Oxford. We are definitely the underdogs. We're definitely the underdogs. I mean, you look at the league table. I titled the episode after Sunderland's season over. I mean, mathematically, the season is not over. I think if we lose to Fleetwood and with other teams winning, I think that is mathematically over. I think if we lose to Fleetwood or don't get anything but a win against Fleetwood, the season, even though it's not mathematically over, it pretty much will be mathematically over, certainly by the following Tuesday, by just other results alone. Doesn't matter what Oxford do on the pitch, essentially. But so it does make Fleetwood, obviously, when you are in this position, chasing, it makes it an absolutely must. It's win or bust. I know we've been saying that for sort of the previous sort of 2 seasons, about the previous 2 games. Sorry, so at Morecambe, we talk about Sunderland. They almost felt like win or bust. That was win or bust to be in a good position, to also be in a very, very decent position. This is win or bust to be genuinely, mathematically not possible to finish in the top 6. So it's a different type of win or bust, really. It's win, you're definitely still underdogs, it's definitely still unlikely, but it's not mathematically over. Or bust, it is mathematically over, you can pack the season up. That's what this sort of means. And although if we, and even if we do beat Fleetwood, we can't get in the top 6 because again we're 4 points behind the other 3 teams. They're all on 73 points. A huge game for Oxford, and although I felt really flat after the Sunderland game, the reason for that is we've lost 3 games on the bounce. We're now 4 points away from the top 6. And it doesn't get much easier because we come on to Fleetwood. I mean, no game in League One's easy. I stress that every single week. But Fleetwood are still fighting so hard not to be. They're 19th in the league. Recent form, they lost their last game but drew before that, and then a massive win before that one. They're still fighting against relegation. Thankfully, they're 19th in the league and not in the relegation zone. I think that does help Oxford a little bit. I think if they're in a relegation zone and maybe a point would get them out of it, I think that doesn't help at all. That's the problem we had against Morecambe, really. I think when we played against Morecambe, they had so much on the line. They were so desperate to get out of the relegation zone. The win against Oxford certainly enabled them to do that. At least with Fleetwood is they're out of the relegation zone. Although they're going to be fighting hard not to fall back in the bottom 4, which they easily can do if we beat them. But they're not in the relegation zone. But they did lose their last game, so they're going to be hungry to put that right. In terms of the odds, Fleetwood a 25% chance with 3-1, 13% chance, Oxford 17-20, which is a 54% chance of winning, 84%. So even with that bad form that Oxford are on, the league position I think certainly helps them. Fleetwood sort of hot and cold form at the moment, but does see them generally still 19th in the league and in a relegation battle. It does see Oxford United favourites in the game, and I do think Oxford United will win on Friday. But I don't think. I think it's gonna be a real grind result. If we're going to win the game, it's going to be a turgid 1-0. And at this point in the season, like I said, I'd be contradicting myself if I was being negative towards that, because I said just a minute ago talking about Sunderland, I don't care about performance. It doesn't matter about performance. At this point in the season, it's all about wins and results and points. So for me, I don't care if it's turgid, if we win 42-0. I doubt that at the moment. I'm going to go with Oxford United winning this game 1-0. I can see it, and it's going to be 1-0, and it'll be such an important 1-0 win if that can get us back in there. Like I said, we've got a lot of games to predict, and that's, we're going to have to be helped by other teams as well. Sheffield Wednesday maybe dropping points along with Wycombe. I don't think Sunderland will play in Shrewsbury, but we're going to need help from the other teams now. That's it's not in our hands anymore. However, a win on Friday could keep a very, 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 very dim lamp alive, if you like. But it really needs to be a win on Saturday. It's Friday, sorry, and otherwise I think it is definitely over. So I'm going to be going the 1-0 win against Fleetwood. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind of a result, but I don't care. We're going to win the game 1-0 in a prediction. I hope we are. I don't know at this point. Oxford United are playing football. I think we are quite unpredictable. I have no idea. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go to, where should we go next? Let's go to Crewe against AFC Wimbledon. A little bit of a relegation battle this way. I think Crewe are down. I won't lie, I think Crewe are down. Of course, their manager, David Arthur, I think he's now left. I think he was sacked in the week. Of course, I think they are now. I don't know, is it official? Is it officially relegated? I think they are officially relegated now. If they're not, they certainly will be without a result of any sort against AFC Wimbledon. On Friday, AFC Wimbledon 22nd in the league. They're still fighting to come out of that bottom four. Of course, 2 draws in the last 2 games, so they sort of got 2 points in the last 2. That's normally how the point system works. But I think it's important. The reason why I pilot that is because I think it's important they're getting some sort of points. You compare that to Crewe, who haven't won a game in a long time. Looking at that, 29 games lost this season. It's not looking great, is it? Doncaster, of course, they won their last game as well, so there's still a bit of glimmer of hope there. For me, it's Doncaster. I think still maybe in a shout to get out of there. Wimbledon definitely still trying to get out of there. Gillingham, of course, Morecambe, Fleetwood could still fall in there. It's very, very tight. I think the relegation battle is still very, very open. I think Crewe are down, though, for me. I think they are. I think they are the team definitely dead and buried. In the nicest possible way. But Wimbledon, they've still got a lot to play for. This game's going to be massive for them. In terms of the odds, 31% chance of winning for Crewe down to odds, 18% chance of Wimbledon. So actually, it does see Wimbledon favourites, but their team specifically with those odds, it does actually see them not favourites, which is quite interesting. But the bookies do see AFC Wimbledon favourites in this game. And I would say that's pretty fair. And I'm going to go with a win for AFC Wimbledon here. I think without a manager for Crewe, it doesn't get much better. And with AFC Wimbledon, I think they're going to have to highlight a clear point in this game where they've got to go, look, they haven't got a manager, they're in awful form, they're pretty much relegated. This is a game we have to go and win. If we've got any chance of getting out of this relegation battle, this is the 3 points we need to go and get. I think AFC Wimbledon will go and do that. I want to go with Crewe 0, AFC Wimbledon 2. A good 2-0 win. That would be a very, very significant 2-0 win for Wimbledon, of course, in their ongoing fight in this relegation battle they find themselves in. Right then, next up, we've only got free games. We're taking our time here. We're really taking our time. We're not getting through them as quickly as I normally do. We've got a lot to talk about because it's a very, very decisive weekend in League One. Next day, we've got Cheltenham against Gillingham. Cheltenham 12th in the league, a win again in their last game. Of course, they're having a brilliant season, aren't they? 12th in the league, a newly promoted side. A lot of people tipping them to get relegated. Well, they've proved a lot of people wrong there, haven't they? Because they've been absolutely phenomenal in recent weeks and across the season. In their 42 games they've played, they've been really quite impressive. 14 defeats, but 13 wins and 15 draws. Exactly 12th in the league. You couldn't get more mid-table than that, but very impressive stuff for Cheltenham, and fair play to them. As for Gillingham, as previously mentioned, they're still in the dogfight, in the relegation battle they currently find themselves in. Of course, the last 2 games they are without a win. Before that, though, a win in there as well. I think Neil Harris certainly has improved Gillingham. I think this game away to Cheltenham is not going to be easy at all, but they're going to be hoping to try and get something from this game in their fights for relegation. In terms of the odds, Cheltenham are odds on 1-1, 50% chance of winning, literally 50-50. They actually win 54% of their games with those odds. Gillingham 12-15, that's actually a 29% chance of winning. That's actually 23 for them specifically. It does see Cheltenham favourites, and being the home side, you can see why. And I think Cheltenham are going to win this game. I'm sorry, Gillingham fans, I don't think it'd be a good result for you in this relegation battle you currently find yourselves in. But I do think Cheltenham are going to win this game. The form they currently find themselves on, I'm going to go with Cheltenham winning it 1-0. A tight, edgy Cheltenham win to continue what's been a brilliant season for Cheltenham this season. Regardless of the result, it's been a phenomenal campaign, of course. Next time we're going to go to Wycombe against Plymouth Argyle. What a huge game. This could be massive in not just the playoff race, but also potentially for Plymouth. Could they be talking about a late push into the top 2? Are they guaranteed a playoff place? I think they are. But ultimately, it's a massive game. I think it's more of a big result. I don't know. I mean, it's a huge game. I think Wycombe have got a little bit more on the line, you'd say. 7th in the league, 1 place out of the top 6, but exactly on the same amount of points as Sheffield Wednesday, who are in the top 6. Only goal difference is the reason why Wycombe Wanderers are not in those playoff places. Although it's a huge game, for Plymouth. I don't really think they're going to fall out of the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be pushing for the automatic promotion place. I think it is between Rotherham, MK Dons, and Wigan. If I'm being honest, they might do, but I think it probably will be those three. Like I said, I don't think they're going to fall out of the bottom 6. So I think for Wycombe, it's a massive game, and for Plymouth as well, but I think it's got more on the line for me with Wycombe. In terms of recent form, Wycombe really are on a good run, and we spoke about it. We did a playoff episode quite recently. We spoke about who I think will go and do it, looking at the run into the season. I think Wycombe, this is their hardest game in the run-in they currently find themselves in. I think the other games, I think they really could be fine in, but I think this one is a really big game. This is probably the most difficult game they have in for their run-in. As for Plymouth, really, the last 5 games have been pretty decent. You could say only 1 defeat in there, 3 wins and a draw. Their draw came in their last game. The draw, of course, came in their game against Gillingham against Burton. So again, Burton away from home, it's not easy at all, but you maybe would expect them to get more than a point, to be honest. But then a very, very important win against Oxford the game before that. As for Wycombe, they come into this game with a draw. Of course, their red card they got when they drew against Gillingham. Big result for Gillingham, as previously mentioned, but for Wycombe, you maybe would have expected them to get more than just a point from the Gillingham's game as well. So both these teams coming into this game with draws against sides you maybe expect them to get more than draws from. That's football. That's League One. Anyone can get anything from these games. Wycombe 17-20 for the game. That's actually a 54% chance of winning. Plymouth are 14-5. That's actually expected chance of winning of 26%. Specifically, those teams, Wycombe are on 38%, Plymouth on 32%. So it does see Wycombe favourites in the game, interestingly, but Plymouth do better with their odds usually when they have those odds. Still though, Wycombe are the favourites in the game. I really hope, I'm sorry Wycombe fans, but from an Oxford perspective, I hope you drop points. I'm a Plymouth supporter as well as an Oxford United supporter on Friday. We do need Plymouth to do us a favour. We do need them to get something from Gillingham, even if it's only a point, which I think Plymouth can do. They're a brilliant side. We've seen that firsthand quite recently, going to their place and losing 1-0. But I think I'm going to predict a draw, but I also think that's because I think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I know I'm trying to keep my bias away from it, and I'm falling into the trap of doing that. But I do think it'll be a 1-1 draw. I think it could easily be a draw. Both sides, a lot on the line, but more for Wycombe, you could say. I'm going to go with Wycombe 1, Plymouth Argyle 1. Let me know in the comments down below. Is that my bias coming in, or is that a genuine prediction? Let me know. But I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw in that one. Right then, let's move on. How many games are we down? I don't even know how many. I've lost count of the games we've currently previewed, but we're into the next lot now. We need to do this one though. Let's go to Portsmouth. Let's go to Portsmouth against Lincoln City, because last night, as of recording, Portsmouth pulled off a brilliant result against Rotherham, 3-0 at home. Rotherham are falling apart. We'll come on to them in just a second. But as for Portsmouth, like I said, a brilliant result yesterday, beating Rotherham 3-0. Brilliant reaction for a defeat to Cheltenham, of course, on the Saturday before that, because they needed a reaction. Although they're not playing for much, I think they are out of the top 6 race. I think we could easily say that. They're not going to worry about anything other than just consolidating where they are in the league table. It's not going to be anything better than, I think, 10th or maybe 9th. So I think they sit put in this league and they go again in the summer ahead of next season. But still, these games are still, of course, very, very important for Plymouth. They want to continue to win. Who doesn't want to win games of football? And that brilliant result against Rotherham yesterday, that could be massive for them in terms of a confidence boost going into this game against Lincoln City. Of course, they're hosting again. Of course, it's a back-to-back home game for Portsmouth, hosting Lincoln City. Very, very hot and cold season for Lincoln. And they were all over the shop. 18th in the league. Disappointing campaign, really, with all things considered. Michael Appleton definitely would have expected a little bit more. They, of course, haven't won a game in the last 2. They lost their last game. In terms of the odds, 4-5, so 56% chance of winning for Portsmouth. Lincoln City at 16-5, that's 24% chance of winning. It does see Pompey favourites. I think Portsmouth will win this game. I'm going to go with Portsmouth 2, Lincoln City 1. A little bit closer than I imagine, but Portsmouth getting back-to-back results after a brilliant result against league title hope contenders in Rotherham, of course, yesterday. But I think that confidence could be massive in this game against Lincoln City. I'm going to go with 2-1 there. Right then, let's go to the next one. We're trying to get through the other games quickly as we can, but still taking into consideration every single aspect of the game. Doncaster against Bolton. Now, this is a big game for Doncaster because at home, they're still in for a chance of not getting relegated. It's not, again, it's unlikely they won't get relegated, but it's still a chance. And at home to Bolton, it's not going to be easy. They certainly will be hoping to do so. As for Bolton, they haven't lost a game in the last 4. They've drawn 3 of those last 4 games. But a draw's a draw, and it's a point better than nothing. Like I said, similar to Portsmouth, really. I don't think they're going to be in a late top 6 battle, but certainly just staying put where they are in the league table. Not a bad season at all for Bolton. I'd say a very, very successful season for Bolton this year. Back in League One. Can they consolidate? Can they stay put and then go again next season? Similar to Portsmouth, I'd say exactly the same as Portsmouth in that sense. As for Doncaster, like I said, 23rd in the league still. It's unlikely that they're not going to get relegated, but there's still a glimmer of hope. They won the last game. 33 points they currently find themselves on. 5 points away from Morecambe, with the first team out of the relegation zone. Could they do it? They need to get something from this game. They do need to get something from this game. Although they won their last one, they do need to get something from this one. In terms of their upcoming games, it doesn't get much easier. That they got Bolton and they got Shrewsbury away, so they'll have to go and see what they can get. Those 2 games you probably need to win at least one of them, draw the other, so they need to get something from it if they are in for a shout. You'd arguably have to say they have to win both. In terms of the odds, Doncaster 11-4, it's a 27% chance of winning. It's a 22% chance with them specifically. As for Bolton, it's 91-100. It's expected chance of winning of 52%. That the Bolton actually win 45% of their games with those odds. It does see Bolton favourites pretty, which really, actually, you could say. I do think Bolton are going to win this game, although I think it's very, very significant that Doncaster don't lose it. I think they might. With Bolton winning 2-0 against Doncaster, that probably would relegate Doncaster. Not mathematically, but I think it certainly would make it difficult for them as they head into their only sort of 4 games left of the season. I think Bolton are going to win this one. They're going to put their run of draws to the end, and in the end, win this one. Right then, let's go to the next one. We're working through these. Let's go to Charlton against Morecambe. Because Morecambe, another team fighting in the relegation battle, this game is huge for them. They've got to travel to the Valley, which at the moment is not an easy place to go. At other parts of the season, it looked like it could be much easier. But I think Johnny Jackson, he's turning it around a little bit at the moment, isn't he? We did a video on Charlton probably about a month ago now, highlighting the issues at Charlton. It's not the season they would have wanted at all, but recently it hasn't been all doom and gloom. They won their last game. Before that, they drew and lost, but then 2 wins before that. We'll have a look at their run in a little bit more detail. You can see here, it's not unreal. Where they are in the league table 15th, it's not brilliant. A win against Gillingham, a win against Burton, a win against Doncaster. Games you probably would expect them to win, if we're being honest, against relegation side, to be honest. And then a home defeat to Lincoln City, not ideal. A draw to AFC Wimbledon, it's okay. A Charlton side should be doing better than that, but with 10 men, it's okay. And then a win, of course, a big, important win, and quite surprising win, you could say, against Rotherham on Saturday, where they won 1-0. So, for Charlton, at the moment, it's not really that bad in terms of the current form. Like I said, the league position isn't great at all. For Morecambe, they lost their last game, but of course beat Oxford the time before that 2-1. It's a massive result for them at home in their current fight to get themselves out of the relegation battle they found themselves in. They're not in the relegation zone, which is very, very important. A lot of their season, they have found themselves in that relegation zone, but it's important now they're not in there. So that could be a real psychological advantage for them. 38 points, the same amount of points as Gillingham, who are 21st in the league. They've got same amount of points as Fleetwood, who are above them in 19th. It's very, very close. For me, I do think Wimbledon, Doncaster and Crewe are probably down, if I'm being completely honest. I think it is definitely Fleetwood, Morecambe or Gillingham. One of those 3 teams will be getting relegated. Which one it will be, we'll have to wait and see. But this game could be decisive in deciding exactly that. In terms of the odds, 17-20 for Charlton. That's a 54% chance of winning. Morecambe 11-4, 27% chance of winning for that. But interestingly, both teams are actually exceeding those odds with their specific winning percentage. 55% for Charlton, 43% for Morecambe. It does see Charlton favourites, and I'm going to be honest, Charlton are in much better form. But not, I'm about to say much better. It's not much better, but it's better form for sure. I think Charlton are going to win this game at home. I think there's a real turnaround at Charlton at the moment, a real confidence at this point in the season, which hasn't been acceptable for the whole of the year. But I think they find themselves at the moment much improving. I think Charlton are going to win this one. I'm going to go Charlton 2, Morecambe 0. It wouldn't be ideal for Morecambe at all, but it have to be based on what Gillingham do, what Wimbledon do, and what Fleetwood do against Oxford United. Hopefully, Morecambe will do you a favour and will beat Fleetwood, but we'll have to wait and see. No guarantees at the moment with Oxford United, of course. So, let's go to the next games then. If we can try and find the next games, they're going to actually come up. That'd be ideal, wouldn't it? Should we try and find these next games if you'd like to load? Here we go. Let's go then to Accrington Stanley against Burton Albion. Then we've got 4 more games. We've still got a few more games. Still got quite a few more games to look at here. We've gone quite in depth in a lot of these games because I think it's because it's so important. Some of these games at the moment, they're so significant in the campaign. I think it's important we really do a deep dive, if you like. This one, ironically, after what I've just said there, this one probably means the least out of every game we've sort of spoken about, to be honest, because I think both sides aren't going to go down. Both of them aren't going to be talking about a top 6 finish. But of course, both sides are going to want to win games. I'm not denying they're not going to go for it. Of course, every team is looking to get wins. Obviously, that's football. Of what it means for sort of outcomes come the end of the season, this isn't really that significant. I think Accrington are going to have another one of their Accrington seasons of previous years, which haven't been bad at all, but, mid-table. You look at Burton, 17th in the league. Again, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, he won't be too happy with the league performance ultimately. I think they remember the start of the season really, really well, didn't they? 17th in the league, now recent run of form of 4 games without a win, 2 defeats in there. Hasn't been ideal. In terms of the odds, 90-20 for Accrington Stanley, Burton at 90. It's a 51% chance of winning for Accrington, 31% chance of winning for Burton. I think Accrington will win this game, but only just. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Accrington Stanley win. I think home advantage is going to prove big in that one. I still don't think that's a problem for Burton. I think they'll still be fine. I think they'll stay up. No, not a problem at all. I think I said it's between Fleetwood, it's between Wimbledon to an extent, and the other team, Morecambe. I think that's probably fair. I don't think Burton have got anything to worry about there. So next up then, we've got Rotherham against Ipswich Town. It's not looking great at Rotherham, is it, at the moment? 3 defeats in the last 3 games. Their recent form just hasn't been good enough. And just ask Oxford fans, for example. You hit a bad run now, it really can affect you. Your hopeful outcomes you had come the end of the season. Nailed on for the title, I think a lot of people were saying for Rotherham, but it looks like Wigan are now going to go on and win the league. And for them as well, it looks, looking at the league table here, you can see even promotion places does not look a guarantee. MK Dons are now in, but Rotherham have got a game in hand. If they win that game in hand, which is a big if at the moment, looking at that form and rhythm and momentum. Ultimately, though, they win that game in hand, 83 points. I'm pretty sure goal difference would see them come in second. I'm pretty sure that is correct. I could be wrong there. I don't know whether or not MK Dons have got a better goal difference than Rotherham. But either way, it would put them level with MK Dons, and it would, of course, make it look a little bit better. Still, however you look at it, their recent form hasn't been great at all. And you come in, you look at Ipswich, for example, who they're playing. They've definitely had an increase in the last 5 games. They definitely will not be going for a top 6 finish at this point in the season. It probably isn't the season they would have hoped for when you look at that at the start of the season. But for Rotherham, I don't want to slander Rotherham too much because ultimately they've been a brilliant side for the majority of this campaign. And like I said, you hit a bad run now because now League One is. If you hit a bad run now, similar to Oxford, you can pretty much do exactly what you wanted to do throughout the whole of the campaign, even when we're swimmingly going. And that's the way it is. A bad run of form now can certainly switch you off. And for Rotherham, they currently find position. In terms of their odds, it's 1-1, so it's exactly a 50% chance of winning for Rotherham. Ipswich 5-2, which is 29% chance of winning. Does still see Rotherham favourites. Do I think Rotherham are going to get back to winning ways against Ipswich? It's not going to be easy. Although Ipswich drew the last game against Shrewsbury, and although the inconsistency is there, I still believe Ipswich have got some. They're still ninth in. Not a bad side at all, although it's maybe not what they thought they'd get at the start of the season. We played Ipswich quite recently, Oxford, and we got such a smash and grab result, 1-1 in the end. And Ipswich were the much better side throughout the game. So I think this game could be a draw. I'm going to predict a draw here. I'm going to go with 1-1. Rotherham 1, Ipswich 1. I think the recent form for Ipswich hasn't been great, but I still think they're going to offer. They've been much better than Rotherham in the last 5 games overall, I'd say. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here. It could easily be Ipswich going to Rotherham and getting a win like Sunderland have done and how Shrewsbury have done in recent weeks. Or Rotherham could, get a real reaction because they need a reaction and put themselves into and go on and beat Ipswich. We'll have to wait and see. That's the beauty of the League One and how unpredicted it's going to be. But I'm going to go with 1-1 in this game. I'm going to go with a draw. But like I said, it could literally go either way. Rotherham do need a reaction. I'd like to quickly highlight here as well. Is this the home team wins here, just on the right-hand side? A little bit off topic, but you can see 45% chance of home team wins. That really does highlight the home advantage. When I bang on every day about home advantages, that's what I'm chance of winning for home advantage. Away teams are 29%, draws are 26%. But so you see there, that is home advantage written all over it. 45% chance of home win. So, I'm not just talk out my backside when I talk about home advantage. There is certainly something in that. Also as well, 2.66 goals, average goals as well. A goal scoring league. Absolutely one of the most entertaining leagues in the world. And that's not a joke. Right, then let's go to the next one. I'm just making sure we haven't missed any. We're talking about these. We are in the last two games. Wigan against Cambridge. Current league leaders against Cambridge United. Wigan, top of the table. 87 points at the moment. The last 5 games have been absolutely brilliant, but it goes longer than that. We'll have a look at you can see here. It goes longer than just 5 games. AFC Wimbledon and Fleetwood, they won before that. They, of course, lost to Sutton in the Cup, but we look at league form on its own. Their form does go on longer than the last 5, but looking at the last 5, they've been brilliant. They drew in their last game. They drew 0-0, I believe, wasn't it? Was that a 0-0 draw? 0-0 to Burton. But still, 87 points they currently find themselves on. And I think they are now nailed on. I think it is Wigan's title to lose, if I'm being completely honest. As for Cambridge, similar to Cheltenham, really. 13th in the league, 54 points, but a brilliant season for Cambridge. Back in Sky Bet League One, but doing a brilliant job of proving a lot of people wrong, really. We talk about a side were tipped to get relegated straight back down to League 2. They've been absolutely brilliant in 13th in the league, and they've been really impressed with Cambridge. They've caused a lot of problems for a lot of teams. Unfortunately, we haven't got Cambridge's odds here, but we can see here Wigan a 75% chance of winning. It does mean that Wigan are favourites. We do see now that, we do see Cambridge are 15-2, but it does see, ultimately, Wigan favourites. You can see one, although I think Cambridge have been brilliant. I think Wigan will win this game. I'm going to go with Wigan 3, Cambridge United 1. A comfortable Wigan win. I think we'll continue to see them go on and win the league. Really. They can't mathematically win the league on Friday. I think Saturday, actually, this one, isn't it? But ultimately, I think it is a massive chance for them to make that gap a little bit bigger. And like I said, I think it is Wigan's title to lose. And I stick by that now. Rotherham slip up, I think, has proved costly for them. And I think Wigan are now going to go on and take advantage of that and I think lift the trophy. Right then, finally then, I think that is everything other than the last one. Let's just make sure the last page doesn't see another one. No, the next ones, of course, are the next run of fixtures. So it is the last game of the episode, but an absolutely gigantic match in League One, saving arguably the best till last, MK Dons against Sheffield Wednesday. MK Dons hosting the Owls in this one. Let's have a look at the league table. Second in the league, MK Dons, 83 points. Sheffield Wednesday, 5th in the league. One of course, the 4 teams in the mini group to try and get themselves into the top 6, but currently 5th in the league with a game in hand on Wycombe and Oxford. One of the 2 teams with a game in hand on their other Wycombe and Oxford and Sunderland rivals. Of course, it's Wycombe and Oxford they got the game in hand on. They are in a much better position. 5th in the league, and of course, their game in hand is going to be massive. But they're going to MK Dons, a side absolutely brilliant form. Although they drew their last game before that, they've been absolutely, I'd say, untouchable at points this season. 83 points, 2nd in the league. It's not going to be an easy game whatsoever. And for Sheffield, anything from this game, they're going to have to be at their best. In terms of the odds, 9-5% chance of winning, which is actually a 36% chance of winning with it. Look at those odds. As for Sheffield Wednesday, it's a 29% chance of winning, which is actually 20, and the expected chance of winning is 41%. Look at them specifically, and looking at those stats specifically, you're looking at 40% for MK Don specifically, and Sheffield Wednesday 36% specifically. It does actually see, interestingly, Sheffield Wednesday favourites. That is very, very interesting. Looking at the run a little bit longer, this you can see MK Don's fixtures. You can see here, absolutely brilliant run of form. Of course, they drew the last games against AFC Wimbledon. A little bit of a surprise draw, you could say there. But even Sheffield Wednesday, their last 5 games have been really, really good as well. 3 draws, but 2 wins and 2 very important wins. A very tough visit to Bolton on Saturday when they got a point out of that one. It did look like Sheffield Wednesday definitely should have won that game. Though it looks like they couldn't score, even if they were still going at it now. But ultimately, they're going to MK Dons, which are, like I said, a massive side, are doing brilliant stuff this football, massive stuff this football season, and second in the league and proving to be a brilliant side. So yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm going to go the draw in this one. I'm going to go MK Dons 1, Sheffield Wednesday. No, I'm going to go MK Dons 2, Sheffield Wednesday 2. I can see a high scoring 2-2 draw in this one. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think of these games, and let me know what you think of my predictions. But most importantly, I want to hear from you. What do you think of these games going forward and on Friday and Saturday? I want to hear from your thoughts. Leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe as well. Really, really interested to see your thoughts. I'll be replying and responding to all of them as per usual. Like I say, we're on the road to 1.15,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell as well, so you'll be notified whenever I go live or do an episode just like this one. Until next time, take care, stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit.